I don't know how many people I speak for here, but I'm kinda totally over the fear of massive fuck-off spiders in sci-fi and fantasy. Not real-life spiders, of course, I'm petrified of those, but in sci-fi, fantasy, horror, TV, movies and video games, it just feels a bit played out and obvious, really. What scares people? Who cares, just do a massive fuck-off spider and we can piss off home. In Yorkshire, the Doctor and friends meet Yaz's family and uncover a creepy mystery at the heart of the city. What is happening to the spiders of Sheffield? Oh, I can answer that question, episode synopsis. They are growing massive. This is a sci-fi show for all ages called Arachnids in the UK. Massive fuck-off spiders, that's your premise. Couldn't we do something else with spiders instead of just making them grow massive? Actually, what else could you do with spiders in a sci-fi show that makes them more scary? Talking spiders? Telepathic spiders? It doesn't do anything for me. How about we give them more legs than usual? Well, that's not a spider then, is it? Alright, how about a massive spider that's responsible for the death of a beloved family member? Well, that's not the spider I'm scared of then, is it? It's the death of the family member. Also, what is it with you and dead family members, Stuart? I'm trying my best to give this shit dramatic weight here, God! This is not to say that giant spiders never work or that there's no point in doing them. Just like with every idea, it always depends on what you do with them and how it's done. But yes, the resulting episode was a bit rubbish, but I'm not going to go off on one about it like everyone probably expects me to, because it's so unambitious that I'm finding it difficult to even bother talking about it at all. Doctor and companions arrive in Sheffield, do a bit of domestic-y stuff, discover inciting incident, bad guy is set up. There is a sort of massive spider, then there is a bigger spider. Get everyone to this hotel and lock it down and create a base under siege situation, resolution with a cheesy pop culture reference, and done. And of course the cause of the massive spiders is a toxic waste dump. Because of course it is, what else was it going to be? It's unremarkable at best, just like with most of the series so far, and I'm quite surprised that people have been having such strongly polarised reactions to Series 11 in general. To the point where when I'm skimming through comments on these, I'll see one accusing me of being too nice to this series, next one says I'm being too harsh to the series. When all three of my previous reviews have been mixed to ambivalent at best. Okay, I'll stop beating around the bush now. Okay, you want some opinions on Arachnids in the UK? Fine. It's a Russell-era domestic bit of pulp sci-fi. He used to tell stories like this all the time. Aliens of London, Smith and Jones, Partners in Crime. The companions get brought home to catch up on the domestic side of things, and the monster is basically just giving them something to do in the meantime. Arachnids follows this formula, and it follows it for a reason, because people are less likely to turn off. It's never going to enthuse someone like me who's been watching the show do this sort of thing for over a decade now. But it's what an episode of Doctor Who typically plays like, and maybe that's enough for most people, and yes, maybe that's enough for me to a certain extent. I can usually just have an episode of this iteration of Doctor Who on, switch my brain off and relax, so it's good enough for me in that respect, but when Chibnall's name is on the writing credit, the resulting video that I end up making about it is probably usually going to end up with me sat on the fence mumbling about it being kinda passable, I suppose, because that's just the sort of writer Chris Chibnall is, and this is the fourth one in a row now, and the next one's got his name on the writing credit too, and I'm probably going to think that one's just fine, and do I say this? Yeah, I've got to... Okay. I kind of miss Moffat, okay? Oh, come on, you all expected me to say that at some stage, and yes, I know it's for selfish reasons, alright? I don't think it's controversial to say this, but Hellbent, while bad, is at least fascinating. There's a reason I was always going to end up making about 25 minutes of video about it, and Arachnids in the UK was going to end up being one of my shorter New Who reviews, because there's just not enough there. There's approximately one thing in this episode that a pretentious fuck like me can latch onto, and that's that I like the way the cobwebs in the first 10 minutes are set alongside Graham coming home to an empty house full of nothing but his memories. I really like his wife with her face obscured in this shot. I think we should have stayed with her face obscured. I was a bit let down when she appeared fully on screen later on. The director's done a fine job in filming the act of grieving here. I wish they'd done more with Graham in this episode, finding the cobwebs in the attic. It's just a really evocative image where Graham comes home for the first time after his wife's died and finds his house and his memories have become shrouded by cobwebs while he was gone. But then it just cuts away to something else and that's it. No, episode! Go back and do some shit with that. I was actually starting to feel something there. I just want to feel something. Anything. I mean, I suppose the hotel owner, Jack Robertson, is noteworthy in just how poorly written he is. He's basically a Saturday morning cartoon villain. He's sneery, he's a businessman, he cuts corners and doesn't give a shit about the environment, and he's accidentally caused the mutant spiders. And there's all these Trump parallels in there. He's basically been given Donald Trump's entire backstory, but there's never any point established. If you're satirising someone, it's usually because you want to make some sort of statement, but there isn't really any kind of statement here. As said, he's just a Saturday morning cartoon villain with some real-world nods in it, so you can go, ooh, I know about that. He's basically the Doctor Who Donald Trump. It's like when they made the Zygons into ISIS the other year, it just feels a bit half-arsed. There isn't much of a conclusion to the episode either. The toxic waste dump's still there, this guy shoots the massive spider and hasn't learnt anything, and the Doctor and friends just sort of fly off into time and space after that, and wait a second, they're setting it up and saving it for later, aren't they? Sheffield is basically this series' Cardiff, so I guess it's time to start constructing wild, overblown fan theories, and you know what that means. Prediction Corner, the section of He Who Moans where I try and predict what will happen in future episodes. Okay, so Chibnall has said that there will be no returning monsters in Season 11. But the special, apparently a New Year's special now, isn't technically Season 11, is it? Ooh, so clever. So what if this guy is secretly the Master? And what if he's building toxic waste dumps all over the world to destroy the environment, to force mankind into a position where they have to convert themselves into the Cybermen? And then a crack in time opens in space and out comes the Daleks. And then the Vervoids show up for some reason. So yeah, this is definitely going to happen on New Year's Day. You heard it here first.